Welcome everyone, good afternoon, thanks for coming. My name is Roy van Mortel, this is my colleague Bink. Together with a third founder we are Digital Dreams, an indie game developer from Utrecht in the Netherlands. At the moment we are creating our own IP for the downloadable console market, but before this we made an iOS game, which was our first and probably last iOS game. It's called Cowbeam. And I want to start off with a short video on this. So yeah, that's the story of Cowbeam that I wanted to show you. It's an iOS puzzle game. Its premise can best be explained as a mix of Mastermind and Who Is It. It's a pretty unique game, which is probably why I didn't sell that well. A postmortem on this game can be read online, but since we only have like 10 minutes here, I decided it might be smart to like pinpoint one thing and get into depth more about that. And that subject is Flash to iOS. What I mean by this is not developing in Flash and exporting it to iOS, because that's not what we did. But what I mean by this is the change we made by shifting the entire project to a different platform in the middle of development. Because we started out building it in Flash, as you can see on the right, as a 2D game. And maybe about 1 month into development, we decided it would have been better that we developed it for iOS. So we kind of redid the whole game, which took quite a lot of time. So yeah, it started out as a 2D game. Why did we make this change? Because it's kind of a radical change, obviously, especially since we had to throw away everything that we had so far. The first reason for this, well, there were a lot of small and circumstantial factors that had a part in this, but one of the important ones is the controls. Without explaining the game, it's you have to navigate through a galaxy rotating around the sun, and it kind of makes sense to do that with a swiping motion, which we already did have in Flash, but it didn't really make a lot of sense to do that with a mouse. So that's one of the reasons that we switched to iOS. Another one was Unity, because we had to think about our future, Digital Dreams' future. Our ambition was and still is the downloadable console market. But at the time we didn't have a publisher or funding just yet, so we didn't really know where we were headed just yet. So then Unity makes sense. It's a safe bet, obviously. Another thing is the monetization. We had a brief history in the Flash and Portal kind of. We knew it was hard to earn our money back of licensing fees and advertisement, so that's why we decided to switch to iOS, because it was just very tempting. It obviously has a very large install base, but it's very hard to get noticed on there. Last reason is our indie mindset. I mean, the fact that we could switch to iOS. It was a tough decision, because obviously we threw away a lot of work, but because we didn't set any strict deadlines for ourselves, we could switch, so that's why we did that.
So as Roy already indicated, it didn't sell that well, and at first anyway, so we tried, okay, let's go a bit further. First we sent press releases, we made this trailer that you see, and we personally think it was pretty high quality for what we're used to anyway at that point. So we tried a couple of things to get the popularity of the game up. So for one, we tried making a macOS version, which We heard from friends can really help you with, getting people to notice the game itself. We tried free for a day. That got a lot of downloads. Well, considering how many we had anyway. But it didn't really do much for us on the long term anyway. We tried actually some Facebook advertisement. We didn't have a lot of budget. For one, well, we're a small indie team with, little budget. But since the game hadn't really been earning much, we didn't really want to put that money in it without it actually returning some of that. But we did try and put a bit of money in that, but it didn't get us really far. We got about 300,000 clicks and about 7 sales out of that. So that's not really what you say, okay, that's profitable or something. Another thing is that, we send out press releases and some sites picked it up, but there are, strangely enough, a large amount of sites that actually want you to pay for getting a review up. At first we didn't really feel like doing it because, our first reviews that came in and were positive. I mean, there are a lot of people reading that, you'd say, and then, maybe about 40 retweets or something, but you'd only see about 4 sales. So that's kind of a slanted, weird kind of proportion. So it wasn't really worth it, but we tried it anyway. Wasn't worth it. We tried to price it up. At first it was $2. We thought we had put a lot of quality in there. I hope the animation can prove that to you right now. But it didn't get as much sales after people, after it got out of the first day lists. So we figured, okay, let's do a price drop and people can get it, more instantaneous. It does help a little bit, but not all that much. But it does get you extra sales. Which I also did some additional content. We got an extra mode in, and every time we did this, we get some press releases out to get the game again under the attention of everyone. So these are classic things that everyone tells you to do. Unfortunately, it didn't do much for us, but in your case it might. The main point of this thing is though, our DNA didn't really cross over that well to iOS. We were making Flash games that worked out for us. It's our we could do what we wanted. We like to make new games, things that we've not seen before. And while you do need some novelty in the iOS market, we do think that our game was a bit too much out of the ordinary. And it's also got to do with the mindset. So we're all about, okay, let's do this quick and get this up and running, or like guerrilla marketing. But the iOS market doesn't really fit in there, unfortunately. Plus, you got the monetization thing going on. We kind of have a business ethic. We don't feel like very clean when we do the standard freemium model of letting people pay for what they already paid for within the game itself. There's experience that's platform specific. So like we had experience doing Flash games, and some of it translates to the iOS, but it doesn't all, unfortunately. Thank you. And also, it's an entirely different market. So you really got to refine yourself, see what the mindset is in. We really tried and focused with this game on the casual market. We did our best to make everything very accessible and such, which we didn't have to do for the Flash game market because it was much more hardcore. But it's not really our thing. So while we gave it all we had, it wasn't a good fit, and I think that's part of why it didn't do that well in the end, because you can't really commit yourself 100% even though you want to. So yeah, I feel you have to, in order to go to the iOS market or any platform for that matter, you have to really be comfortable with the platform itself. Yeah, we did learn a lot of this. So we did upgrade ourselves on the amount of polish we put in the game. It was the first game we actually got out to the consumers directly, rather than the Flash game which you sell to Portal. So that's viable information when, as Roy already indicated, we want to go to the downloadable console market. So we did learn a lot, and it was a good project to do, but we won't do it again. And that's about it. Thanks for listening. If there are any questions. if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them, and you can play our game at the Indie Showcase if you like.